What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to give you guys a little bit of a tip, a daily tip or whatever. So I'm at the pond today, my favorite pond to go fish, and generally I have to do a lot of finesse fishing here because it's so darn pressured. So today I want to show you guys how to work a drop shot. Over the time of me using a drop shot, at first I hated it because of how slow it is, but now since I've learned how to use it, I kind of like it. It's pretty nice. It's a very slow style of bass fishing, but oh my goodness, is it a fish catcher. So without further ado, I'm gonna throw you guys on the GoPro and show you guys how to work a drop shot. Alright, so before I show you guys how to fish a drop shot, I want to show you guys the style of setup that you're going to want to need for doing this. Generally, you're going to want a nice light setup, not a really heavy rod. This is a 6'6" medium action rod. Has a nice tip to it. This is actually a Bass Pro Shops tourney special. I would consider this more of a budget friendly style finesse rod. It's done me very well. I've caught a lot of fish on it so far. It's been really fun fighting fish on it as well. And then the kind of line that you're going to want, personally, I have a 10-pound nano fill on right now. Super thin diameter line. I believe the 10-pound nano fill has the diameter equivalent of 4-pound mono, if I'm not mistaken. And I have that nano fill going to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. There's a lot of guys that generally will run braid with finesse fishing and drop shotting as well. So with that, you're going to want to go like a 15-pound braid, even a 10-pound braid, and maybe to like maybe an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, 6-pound or so. And then for the reel, you're going to want a nice reel that has a really good drag on it, so you can really be able to play the fish, because you don't have really heavy line on these little finesse setups, and you can't just freaking horse them in like you do with 50-pound braid. So after going over that, I'm going to show you guys what the drop shot looks like. So this is basically what a drop shot looks like. You have a little weight on the bottom. This just so happens to be a little cylindrical drop shot weight, and then about a 10-inch leader to a Gamakatsu size #1 drop shot hook, and I have that nose hooked onto a little 4-inch Morning Dawn Roboworm. So how to work this? So after my camera randomly turning off and a dog barking and a bug biting my leg, I had to move areas just down the way. But so I went over what you need, I went over what a drop shot looks like, the style of reel that you're going to need. You're going to generally run this on spinning tackle, by the way. You're going to want a nice light rod and light line. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to cast that thing out there, let it hit the bottom, and you're just going to want to start slowly just dragging that in 10-12 inches at a time. And you also want to put some pops in there, so give it 3 pops, reel back down, drag it, pop, reel back down. And sometimes I won't drag it and I'll just go pop, pop, pop. You're going to want to have a lot of randomness with how you work this bait, because you're going to want to give it a real lifelike action and have it look really finessey. Sometimes I won't pop it as hard like I am right now, and other times I'll just be dragging and I'll just get little itty bitty pops just to make that tail flutter. It looks really good when you're just giving those little pops with a straight tail worm. It really gives that worm a lifelike style action, and makes it look very tasty to the bass. I mostly just fish with robo worms when it comes to drop shotting. I just haven't had to go to anything else really. I just like the little 4-inch straight tail. So let's redo that. I'm really hoping that we can catch a bass today on this setup, just because I want to show you guys what a strike looks like, how to find the bass when it's holding it in its mouth. and especially how to do the hook set, because when you're using a drop shot with this little Gamakatsu hook, you don't want to totally jack the fish like you do with a frog. You're basically going to want to hook them like you do a trout. So let's just say theoretically a bass has it. Let's say my line popped, and then I know he has it, and then I just start pulling real slowly just to see if I can feel him, because there'll be times when a bass hits it and you won't, and he'll hit it and not take it. So generally when a bass will hit it, I'll reel down, drag real slow, and if you just feel a dead weight, just give it a little hook set like this. That's it. And that little, I mean, it's a little light wire hook. It's gonna go right into his mouth, and you're gonna get a nice hook set on him. Generally with the nose hooking, I was a little on the edge about it at first because I thought I wasn't gonna get as many hook sets. I'm at about like a 98% hookup ratio as of late, so nose hooking is just fine. A lot of guys will also wacky rig the drop shot, which looks really cool underwater. Which so basically, I mean, I would just use this same hook right here, and instead of nose hooking it, just wacky rig it right through the middle. So cast this little sucker out again, get it right up against that bank, let it hit the bottom, and then what we're going to do, reel down, start dragging real slow, give it a few little pops, reel back down. I generally never pause this too much. I try to keep it moving, try to keep it lifelike, in a sense try to ring the dinner bell in front of a bass's face. And as I said, with the popping, you want to be really random with it on how you're moving this bait. You don't want to be robotic. I just had one right there. Oh, I just had him again. Looks like my 98% hookup ratio just dropped to about a 5 or so. That's probably a bluegill messing with it, which I actually just caught a bluegill the other day on a drop shot, which was really weird. Never had that happen before. So let's see if we can get that bass over there. Let's see if he's still over there. So as I'm showing you guys how I'm working this, it's proven. I'm getting hits right now. I don't know if it's bass, it might be bluegill messing with it. But you're just gonna want to work this thing real slow. You can work drop shots a little faster as well, depending on the bite. If you're in little housing communities like this, especially this one, because you're allowed to fish at it, it gets really pressured by people, and you're really going to want to slow it down and just slowly drag it, give it little pops. Let's see. Over here to this little point. See if there's anything working that shade. I've been seeing bass since I've gotten here today. I've been seeing bass chasing shad, and off camera right when I got here, I did miss one on the drop shot. He might have just had it by the tail. So you're just gonna drag it, give it a few little pops, make that tail dance. Give it one pop, drag it, pop, pop, pop. Other ways that you can fish a drop shot that I do see guys do, and I have caught bass doing this style method, is casting it out there and just keeping that thing wiggling. So in a sense, you cast out there, I mean, it'll make your wrist hurt after a while, but casting out there and just popping it instead of dragging it. So in a sense, you're dragging it, but you're just shaking that rod tip just to give that tail a lot of action and wiggle. It's not going to be it's not going to be wiggling as much as you would if you just pop it like this. But if you're just dragging it like this, it's just making the end of that tail just go like this. And that will especially work with these style robo worms with the chartreuse tail on it. It's just like it's like you're dangling a donut in someone's face. They're gonna try to take a bite out of it. But I generally don't prefer to that was indeed a carp. But I generally don't prefer to fish the drop shot like that. How I generally catch a lot of my bass is just drag, pop, pop, reel back down, pop, 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 back down, pop it 2 times, pop it once, drag it, pop, pop, and that's how I fish a drop shot right there. We're gonna try to get probably 2 more casts in right here, see if we can hook into one. Not expecting it too much right now. We're definitely we're coming under a little shad ball right here, so maybe there'll be a bass right under him and it'll take this little worm. Well, no money on that one. Let's get this last cast in. I'll probably wrap up the video. Pretty sure I went over everything that I was supposed to, for the most part, with drop shotting. Drop shotting is a very simple technique to bass fishing. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with drop shotting. I mean, there's some guys, they'll drop shot big worms. I've heard of guys drop shotting Cincos. And then all different leader lengths. Is just going to depend on the fishing situation that you're brought up with. Generally, I do an 8 to 10 inch leader because I really want to try to keep that lure on the bottom when I am drop shotting. And then yeah, that's going to wrap up the video. So I'm going to throw you guys back on the big camera and close this video out. Alright guys, it's going to close out the video today. I hope you guys learned a bit of something. If you did, make sure to go down, drop a like, leave a comment, share the video with your friends, and hit the subscribe button. Hope you learned something on the drop shot. Now, go out there, tie a drop shot on, and go catch some fish.